Hello, everybody, and welcome back to The Ripper, the Teller, and the Gremlin. So, we're going to jump right into it and start, as we always do, with the movie news and video game news. I'm going to be starting with 4 pieces of news today. And first up, we have a next gen pricing rumor, or more in fact, 2K have announced that they will now charge more for next-gen versions of their games. Specifically, they've announced that NBA 2K21 will be priced at $70 or £65.
And that's just base. That's not
Yeah.
Ultimate Edition, which is
No, that's the standard, the bog standard edition for NBA 2K21, a sports game that is released every year, just like FIFA and the likes. And they claim it's. I mean, I'm not going to say it, but maybe.
I'm taking my stance.
And they claim it is to reflect the value being offered by the next gen, is their quote. And I can kind of see where they're coming at. A price increase did happen for last gen. I think it was about £10 last time.
Yeah.
Between, say, 360 and One and PS3 and PS4. And I kind of understand where they're coming at.
Because it's more expensive to make games.
Yeah, and the teams are getting bigger and the development cycles are getting more intense because they're trying to push out these really high quality AAA games. But it does also say when is the limit reached? When do you say, okay, that's a lot for a video game?
We're going to end up paying £100 per game.
Exactly.
You pretty much are. If you get the Ultimate Edition,
you're guaranteed to be paying.
I mean, you're paying 90 quid for the Ultimate Edition now.
I mean, I remember back on like the 360 where you'd see like these super expensive editions with like a steelbook and a statue, and that would be just around £100. And you think, wow, that's ridiculous. But we're getting to that point where digital editions of games that come with just extra content essentially in the game are being priced around £100. You don't get any of these cool physical things that you used to get when and back then I thought it was ridiculous to pay that much anyway, and now it's actually becoming closer to a norm for people to be spending £80-90 on an ultimate edition of a game. So I think that is the biggest problem, is when does it stop? Because okay, say we have this gen for another 3-4 years, does it then increase again? Does it then go to £75 for a game, which just sounds ridiculous, to be honest, for one game, especially when you consider the price of the console. So trying to get into the next gen is just going to be so expensive for some people.
I mean, we spoke about this before, but again, Game Pass is only £108 a year.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much almost what you'd be paying for one game next year, and you can have that for a whole year and get all of these titles that are going to cost you almost the same price, which
is insane.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. But do you think that they will start to adjust that price?
Based on jump it up and stuff.
Exactly. Based on this, do you think they'll say, well, considering everybody else is increasing their prices, we're going to have to increase our price to make it more like marketable? Because I don't fully know how it works, but I'm assuming they have to obviously give money to the developers in some way, whether it be based on how many people play it on the subscription. I have no idea, but either way, will it then end up being more costly for things like Game Pass because of this? Exactly. And this is the biggest problem currently is like I said, of how expensive next gen will be for someone who doesn't have that much that many funds.
Normal Joe.
Especially
the average Joe, isn't it?
Average Joe,
yeah. I agree. I think the biggest point there is not so much that the upping of the price. We can appreciate upping a price for a next gen console.
Definitely.
But it's where's the stop mark? Where's the line that they go, okay, enough's enough. We can't be charging more each time we do a new gen release.
I mean, I'm bad enough as it is. I almost exclusively just get games and sales. Like, is that bad for me?
So I'm personally, I've never been like the Ultimate Edition or the deluxe edition. I've never been one of them buyers. I always
no, me neither.
I know what
but We do know one of those. Yeah, a good friend is like that. But yeah, no. So I've never been that person, but more recently I've been more tempted with certain releases. Like I see like things, and I do look at my bank account and go, can I justify this? But at the same time, some of the stuff you do get in the these deluxe editions and stuff are pretty cool, and sometimes I think maybe it would be worth it. I mean, the biggest one for me, just quickly, was because it's the first time I would say honestly over a year that I bought a deluxe edition of anything. Was when I pre-ordered Ghost of Tsushima, which you knew I was going to say.
I thought you were going to say that.
Yeah, but I did.
Really?
But do you know why I say that? Right? It was £10 extra than the base game, and I got like a stack of like pre-order bonuses.
Season pass?
I don't know what the game's doing with regards to like DLC and stuff, but it gives you, so it gave me like a bunch of starting customizable things that obviously you don't get otherwise. It gave me a whole outfit, a mask, and all that sort of thing, and it also gave me like a horse that you can't get otherwise, and like it just was all like cosmetic stuff really. But it also gave you like extra skill points when you start the game, so like it gives you extra to your character. So just a bit of a thing. So it wasn't like major things, and it wasn't anything like cool, like like Bradley says about this, the books you used to get and like all stuff like that. But at the same time, it gave me 2 themes for the PlayStation 4 as well. So you've got like 2 different samurai themes for the.
That's quite cool, actually.
Which is quite cool.
Something that's what I like. Something that's not like in the game. Something that you can use outside the game.
And to be fair, I have got it, as you can probably imagine, equipped on the PlayStation.
Yeah.
It doesn't, because obviously you've got like the leaves blowing and stuff like that, and it is really cool. But like when you say £10 extra than the base game, I was it doesn't make any sense not to, does it really?
But then you get EA and like they're like, £50 for Star Wars Battlefront, £80 for the Silver Edition, £100 for the Ultimate Gold Edition, and it's like, what are you even?
And your life savings for the ultimate.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Gold, silver edition.
Repossess your house.
And that's companies like EA are only going to get worse with this pricing.
Yeah.
They could be looking at charging you for a gold edition like 120 quid. Like,
the other problem this also causes is things like Xbox want you to be able to play on Xbox One and Xbox Series X. So if they're saying the next gen prices will be higher, what if you just buy the game on Xbox One and then play it? Like, how are they gonna? How are they gonna counter that?
Because that's the prices of Xbox One games as well.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, I don't want to be rude, but if you are buying an Xbox One game and it's coming out on Series X, you're gonna have a much the experience is going to be nowhere near the same at this point with how old the Xbox One is. Its graphical power is nowhere near as good as the Series X. So you're going to be getting an experience that isn't worth that extra, however much, £10. And I don't really see it being fair to then say, well, you've got to pay more just because the new people are paying more.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So that's going to be something they have to work around as well, because I'd feel really cheated if I was on Xbox One paying £65 for a new game, especially something like NBA 2K21.
It's definitely something we're going to be keeping an eye on.
Yeah, definitely.
As this sort of ramps up.
Yeah, and I'm going to keep them all.
But speaking of that, is actually another thing in terms of monetization in games, and that is something that's not recent, but something that is coming to the forefront, and that is advertising in games. So yeah, it isn't new. It's been going on for a long time, but in very minor and subtle ways. But it's becoming a big thing for companies to look at, mainly because the youth of today are starting to spend more and more time gaming than watching TV and spending time. Yeah. So like they're not getting that advertising out there for a lot of the youth because of things like gaming and Netflix not having ads. And sports games are a big target for this because of their nature and because of the affiliations sports games have with sponsors and things outside of the game.
And sports gamers are stupid and will pay £100 for FIFA and then spend £50 a week.
Can we just talk about the fact that Chris just said sports gamers are stupid?
I'm standing on the hill. Stop paying for packets of random cards. Knowing what you're going to get.
Yeah.
We have a friend like it, and he talks about, how he's just spent all of this and he's just bought more. And we're like, But and they I didn't get what I wanted. I'm like, how much money have you could get a new game?
And it's not just that though, is it? It's more the fact that as well, that we talked about this very briefly last week. It's the fact that these games change so little each release. And do you know what it is as well? Have you noticed that anyone who was really obsessed with FIFA, right, for example, the worst one of them all, sorry, anyone who likes FIFA out there, but seriously, right? Have you noticed every year you complain about how broken the game is, and yet the next time round you buy the next one and complain about how broken it is, but you're still willing to spend the money on it?
Well, the funniest thing what Bradley said earlier was that of all the people, 2K were the people, because they make a sport. I can't remember what one they make.
NBA.
They make
NBA 2K, yeah.
And they were saying that they needed an increase because of the quality of the next gen, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry. You want me to believe that your next NBA is not just going to be a little bit shinier
than the last one?
You really want me to believe this is
the funny thing as well is I've actually seen this year's FIFA pricing on Xbox One, and it's no, so FIFA's base pricing on Xbox One is now £60 or $59.99.
Just go in the garden and kick a football around.
Yeah,
it looks a lot prettier.
So I mean, they've already opted for just increasing that, just tweaking it a little bit, just adding 5 for the Xbox One. I don't know what their Series X price is, but I know I've seen that the Xbox One is charging $59.99, which is just crazy. But so some games have actually been offering some sports games have been offering these optional in-game ads, and they'll give in-game bonuses. So it's just enforcing the whole pay-to-win controversy of, okay, well, I'll just sit and watch ads, and then I'm gonna get better things in the game, which will,
Oh, I see. So that's what I was a bit unsure what you meant. So what you mean is, like, for example, if you ever played a game on your phone, like on iPhone.
Yeah, exactly. It is exactly like that.
Second trailer, you'll get like extra coins or whatever.
Yeah. They did it in the new UFC game, in UFC 3.
Wow.
Literally, and one of the adverts is John Cena riding a cow, and it's for Experian credit.
And there you go. And then you'll just get better in-game bonuses for watching John Cena. And it just doesn't help the health of the game, in my opinion, to do it in that way.
And then it's optional, but if you don't,
exactly,
you're shafted against everyone else.
Yes.
Because they're doing it in a way that is paid to win, even though you're not paying. You're essentially paying for their advertisement, though. You're paying them to be paid by advertisers to
win.
Because if you don't, like Chris said, you're just going to get shafted.
Yes.
But yeah, so that's why I did this piece of news in tandem with the other, is because imagine paying £65 for next gen and then getting blasted with adverts. And so, like, imagine if they aren't optional. Imagine you start up a game of FIFA and you just get hit with a TV advert, and you have to sit and watch.
I've seen it, Chris. You're more into memes than Bradley, but have you seen the memes? Are you winning, son, at the minute, where it's like the little stick man and he comes?
I've seen these as well.
Imagine, like, are you winning, son? No, I'm just watching this ad.
just got to wait for the 10th ad in a row.
At the end of this ad, though.
Yeah. Just got to wait for this 1.5 minute ad.
But yeah, so it would just be crazy. But I did actually think about this, and I did think that with the amount of free-to-play games coming out, things like this. Because I mean, look at mobile gaming. You like you said, Jack. You get this kind of pay to win controversy. But there's a lot of mobile apps. I mean, I'm not a mobile gamer myself, but I know there's a lot of apps that run off of a free to play model with adverts being the way they make their money. And I think that could be really good for console and PC gaming, to promote more free-to-play models and having ads and then like a premium, because we don't really have that. It's kind of exclusive to mobile to have this idea of a premium version of a game without ads. And I think that could be really useful for a lot of people, especially going into it, like I said, a next gen that's going to be really expensive.
Especially if you had a free-to-play game that was moving away from skins and microtransactions, and we're like, hey, we're just doing these adverts. Everything else in this world, all the skins, all the equipment, you can just get it by playing the game. Yeah. But occasionally there'll be an advert. Yeah. And to me, I'd be like, okay,
I'll tolerate the ad. Yeah.
Like, I'm not paying any
exactly. And then that's the point. And then you could have this premium version where you say, okay, well, you pay for the game, and then you won't get ads because you've paid for your game, so we don't really need to get any revenue from you playing our game. Which makes sense.
I like that.
Yeah, because it works for mobile gaming, and I don't see why would be such a hard idea to try for console and PC gaming, considering how big it is. It's not like it's a small thing where it'd be risky to try.
Yeah.
It could work, and then if it does fail, you could go to the skins and the kind of, I don't know, loot boxes are pretty much banned everywhere now, so not those, but you could go to these other free-to-play models that work, like battle passes and things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, speaking of free-to-play, Halo Infinite has announced that its multiplayer will be free-to-play. So it was a rumor at first, but Microsoft have since confirmed this, and they've also said it will ship with 120 FPS on Xbox Series X.
Which is insane.
Yeah, I just think this whole announcement has been huge for Xbox as a company and as a console in the war. Well, it is though, because you think about anyone who gets the Series X will be able to enjoy one of their staple releases on the Series X for free. So they pay that full price for a console, and then they don't have to worry about their first game. They just have Halo multiplayer for free. So that's £65 saved, essentially, from what we said earlier.
Yeah, which is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if they're in for the campaign and they want to get that, then they're going to need to buy it. But if they're not, if there's someone who just wants multiplayer fun, they don't get a lot of time, they just love the multiplayer, they've never really been interested in the story. There's loads of reasons. Save £65 there. You've paid for your console and you've just got an exclusive for free, essentially.
It sort of makes me wonder, would they have to reevaluate the price? Because you're going to be paying 70 quid for basically just the campaign.
Just the campaign, yeah, instead of...
And I think that is a slightly awkward angle for a lot of people.
Well, it could be a case of how they do their free-to-play model. So there's probably going to be some sort of battle pass or skins, or there's going to be something. There's no way that they would release that completely free. You get everything you could possibly get. They make no money whatsoever from the multiplayer. It wouldn't make sense, like you said. And I don't think they would then target the single player. I think they're going to do that sort of free-to-play model with a battle pass or skins. And maybe if you buy the single player, you'll get more rewards in the multiplayer, maybe. So you'll get free battle passes for however long. Or maybe just like load of free exclusive skins, something like that.
Yeah,
I don't think they'll specifically say we need to increase the price to make up for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. And there's, if you play all the Halo games, there's hundreds of different Spartan armor sets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The Halo 5 was just people begging for different armor sets, like years. So with that and skins, you've got pretty much, and to be honest, as much as I don't really buy that sort of stuff, if I was playing it and they were like Generation 1 Mark IV Spartan armor, I'm like, yeah, I'm chucking you 10 quid. I'm getting that on.
Exactly, which is such a better model than saying buy it and then you'll get it. Because there's so many more people that just want to play. They can't afford the game. They just want to play, which is why I think this is going to be so good for the game health, because you're going to have more players, and especially with the like PC community, if they do cross-play and cross-platform. If they don't, you're still going to have a big community. We just won't be able to interact with each other.
And that's the one thing that worries me slightly with this news, is that Halo community is quite, as you might have experienced, they're quite an emotional bunch. And the only thing I'd worry about is this would create a huge influx of new players, right? They're going for that sort of Fortnite, grab as many people as possible. But they need to be careful not to alienate their core audience.
Yeah, the core audience.
Because, they can survive without that audience. Yeah. But in the ideal world, you want them to coexist, right?
Of course you do, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they have to be a bit careful there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bradley, you were saying, and I think this kind of ties into your last bit of news, actually, but I think you were saying a minute ago. So obviously you said that multiplayer is going to run at 120 FPS, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah, finally. Something people on PC have been begging for. So
I'm guessing multiplayer is going to be, obviously, I don't know how multiplayer is going to work. I don't know who you're going to play as or whatever. But
yeah,
with your next topic, I'm not going to ruin it, the suspense.
It's okay.
Do you think you'll be able to play as them in 120 FPS, or do you think that
you'll
get crazy?
I have no idea, but
Invasion, which is Spartans versus
Yeah.
But
I loved Invasion.
So before, obviously, everyone's probably wondering what we're talking about. So I'd love Paddy to tell the story, obviously, and then you can understand.
Yeah, right. So after Microsoft's press conference, where they revealed Halo Infinite gameplay for the first time, they did receive some backlash for its for its graphical fidelity.
just a little bit.
People were saying that it looked like garbage and the textures were low res. And to be fair, I mean, I don't think it was that bad, but they did respond with, it is alpha footage. It isn't a completed thing.
I was not the biggest fan of the
No,
way.
yeah. I mean, it wasn't exactly, wow, this is the super powered next gen like that everybody was expecting.
Promised, yeah.
Exactly. But I mean, I kind of just accepted it. I didn't really expect a lot. And since, like, I feel like everybody has accepted the graphical fidelity as it is for one reason. And that is a low res brute, which has since been given the beautiful name of Craig the Brute. And he has just been such a hit within the meme community. And I mean, I recommend, if you haven't heard of Craig the Brute, just Google Craig the Brute and you'll be hit, just bombarded with different memes. And there's literally a meme for everything that involving Craig at this point. I went through about 100 different memes and it just doesn't end.
Before the podcast today, me and Chris actually sat and watched
Completion.
3-minute video just of literally every single, like, Craig. I mean, it can't be every single because there's gonna be millions, but of all Craig the Brute memes they could find, and we just sat and watched it, and some of them are absolutely
amazing.
It's just such a. But this is the best part: is it's been so they were hit with this backlash of poor graphical fidelity for next gen, and then somehow this beautiful positive thing has come from it, of Craig the Brute just being such a stupid hit with the community. And exactly, just everyone that has seen and like had something to say about this has just rallied behind Craig. And it's been really cool to see how Microsoft have embraced it, because when they were hit with the backlash, they said it's an alpha footage. Don't worry, it's going to get better. And they didn't fight back. They didn't say, well, you don't know like how hard it is to, you don't understand. So they didn't bite back. They said, accept it the way it is for now, please, and it will get better. But then not only did they do that, when Craig was, was getting big, someone asked Xbox head honcho Phil Spencer what his opinion of Craig was, expecting him to kind of bite back and be like, well, it's just enough, and kind of like go with that route. Phil did not do this though. He said that he wants him and he will be a new official Xbox mascot.
Which is amazing.
which I think, it's amazing and hilarious. But it's just so cool to see Xbox just embracing
it. Yeah.
That's their failures, essentially.
That's the best thing for me.
It literally is. It's not Craig.
No,
what Craig represents.
It is. Do you know what Chris was saying a minute ago before the podcast, which was we were laughing about the video and we were both saying it's kind of cool, isn't it, though? Like, the internet is such a mad place, right? And this is within like a week of the showcase, and we've got all these hundreds of memes, right? And he was saying, isn't it cool though that both, fans of Halo, not fans of Halo, everybody, people who hated the gameplay, people who loved the gameplay, have all just come together and just crowned this.
Because you take one look at Craig and you just know.
He's become an icon though, hasn't he? Like a symbol.
He literally has.
I saw a forum talking about improving the graphics, but it said, we want the graphics improved, but we want one brute to stay looking like Craig in the whole game. And I was like, that's brilliant.
But this is what I mean, and they have to keep this. They have to reference it in the game. They have to, have some sort of multiplayer icon or something, because they've always done that type of thing. They need to have a Craig reference.
I'm hoping
if there isn't, it's going to be
reference.
I hope they make him a lieutenant.
I would love that. I would love him to be like a brute turned good. On the Chief's journey.
Or
I was going to say, or even a multiplayer skin, or even like a weapon charm or something.
That's literally it. They charged the £65 for the single player because in the multiplayer you get to use Craig the Brute, and everybody would pay it.
It'd be like a whole squad of Craig the Brutes running around, or like he's like a hero that you only get if you if you're playing well enough. You get Craig.
But
I'd like to say I hadn't seen any of the memes actually until literally today. Yeah, Chris forced me, but I'm so glad I now understand.
I was going to say, yeah, it's just one of those things. You can't help but smile when you see his face.
But yeah, I think was that pretty much your news wrapped up.
Yep, there's my news, my four news of the day.
So I've got some interesting pieces I'd like to share. And the first bit of news that really caught my attention was Netflix has announced a Witcher prequel series. It's titled Blood Origins. Blood Origins.
Blood Moon.
It's a vampire film.
It could be Blood Moon. That also sounds like a title. But
have you guys seen this? Heard anything about this?
I have heard.
When I say I've heard, I mean I literally saw what you just read out. Witcher prequel has been announced. And I was like, and I went, I'm sure Chris will find out about this one.
Yeah, so it's really cool for me, and I'm sure probably Bradley, because we're both.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is a series. The Witcher was a series I have watched. And I absolutely loved.
Yes. So basically, it's a prequel series. It's set 1,200 years before the Henry Cavill Witcher series.
Right.
And they've basically said that this is going to be, because there's a thing that happens in this series where the world of the elves, the world of men, and the world of the monsters, basically there's something they call it the conjunction of the spheres.
Right.
Basically, they all merge into this one planet, and they've said that this series is going to delve into the history and the planet the elves come from and the elven sort of way of life, and also it's going to serve as the origin story for the first ever Witcher.
Oh, that's cool.
Who goes on to make the Witcher
to make the Witcher schools
and stuff. So
that's
for
really
me,
cool.
that sounds like such a great premise.
Yeah, I like that.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, I'm still just sitting here waiting for season 2 of The Witcher.
On that note, he's said they've started filming on season 2.
Yes, yeah, I
he tweeted it out.
That's so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. What are your sort of thoughts on this sort of prequel series?
I think that could be awesome. Obviously.
So, quick question: do we know? So, is it the same people who have directed and produced The Witcher?
It's a different showrunner.
Oh.
But the showrunner who did Henry Cavill's Witcher is executive producer on this series.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's all right then. That's what I mean, because I really want to capture that same style, so it feels
I believe her
completely
name
encased.
is Lauren Hitchcock. It's something like that. And I really like her. I think she's been a great showrunner for the Witcher series.
Definitely.
Very clearly knows the material.
Yeah.
And like I say, I think it's exciting they're letting someone else do it, but it seems that they've put her in to sort of keep a helping hand, you know?
Yeah.
And like you say, it's good because obviously Henry Cavill said we're going to get like 8 seasons of The Witcher, which I love that.
I hope they all release in one go.
But also, he's a busy man.
Yeah,
he's going to be doing Hollywood movies and stuff. So if there's a year where we don't get one and we get the prequel series instead, it's a
good replacement.
Yeah,
it is so cool.
And it's a chance for new actors to step into, because I love Henry Cavill as Geralt, but it's fun to have a Witcher we know nothing about. And have
definitely.
A person create this new character, right?
Yeah. I think, I'm definitely excited about it, and I'll definitely watch it. And I think we all are in agreement that the Witcher series was incredible and so much fun. And I'm interested to see. I hope my one hope is that if we're learning about a whole new Witcher, they take a completely different personality than they do with Geralt. Yeah, like I don't want him to be like a different, cut and copy. Or
it is going to be difficult though because of the way Witchers are.
Exactly, yes. I know. Yeah,
but it can be done. It's going to be a lot on the actor.
Yeah, but I mean, you think about the other Witchers in Witcher 3. They're quite different to Geralt.
Yeah, they are. Yeah,
they are, but they still follow that trope of just like
stereotype. Of lone wanderer who's sort of. But maybe because this guy is rumored to set up the Witcher schools, maybe he's a bit more sort of
emotive.
Yeah, maybe he because
emotional.
Yeah, maybe, or he's just a cold-hearted. But if he ever becomes an old man, I'd like well, actually, no, because I want Mark Hamill to play Vizimir. Is it Vizimir? The old Witcher mentor.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
so
Bezonic.
actually, I was trying to say I wanted the Prequel series, and then my mind went back around, and I was like, no, I want Hamill to play Bezonic. But yeah, that's all I've got to say on that. You guys got any thoughts on that?
The only one thing I would say is that we're all super excited about The Witcher. I think whether or not you've even ever played the Witcher franchise or not, I think you should all go and check out the series.
Yeah, definitely. It's not like you need any prior knowledge.
I mean, if you want motivation, Bradley has watched it, and that's the only thing he's watched. So
I am a big fan of the game.
Yeah, and I mean, there's something to enjoy in every aspect. The games are amazing. I love all three of them.
Yeah,
I love the TV series, and I really enjoyed. I've only read one of the books, but what I read, I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see what happens with that, and obviously stay tuned for more on that one.
So, next bit of news I've got is something that generally made me really depressed, which the guys probably knew because I put a sad face.
And you're about to tell us.
next to it. And it's basically, there's a guy called Mike Laidlaw, and he is one of the original creative directors from the Dragon Age franchise.
All right.
And as we've spoken on this podcast before, I'm a huge BioWare fanboy.
Yeah.
So obviously I love the Dragon Age series.
Yeah.
And he left BioWare a year or 2 years ago, and he went to go work for Ubisoft. And he was pegged to make a RPG action adventure King Arthur game, which just that title has made me go
that is cool,
awesome. But it's been revealed that has been cancelled.
Right.
Which is very sad.
Which is
sad, yeah.
As
soon as we get a cool little thing, it's instantly taken from us.
Isn't it weird though that all you had to say was that it was a King Arthur themed thing, and all of a sudden we were all interested straight away?
Action adventure RPG, King Arthur,
and then you instantly let us down.
It's like a mixture.
Yeah.
Why did I say right?
So this is really interesting because this actually comes with all the scandals that have shocked Ubisoft recently.
Right.
So there's a guy at Ubisoft called Sergei Haskoty. He's French. I've got his first name's Sergei.
Yeah.
We'll just leave it as
Sergei.
And basically, I was reading an article all about him, and he is who we have to either thank or blame, depending on your preference, for modern Ubisoft.
Right.
And his whole MO is open world, microtransactions, and uniformity from their games. So if you look at modern Ubisoft, from Ghost Recon, The Division, the Assassin's Creed franchise, Far Cry, they all tick those boxes.
Yeah.
They're open world.
Yeah.
They have microtransactions in them. They all fit this idea of what he wanted. And apparently this guy was green lighting and saying no to everything. And if one of those boxes wasn't ticked, he would cancel stuff.
Right.
So no matter what your sort of opinion is on if you like where Assassin's Creed is or whatever, and it's rumoured that he's the reason we haven't had a Splinter Cell. Because Splinter Cell's linear.
All of a sudden, I don't like this guy.
Yes.
Because they we can't turn Splinter Cell into what his vision of a Ubisoft branded game should be. But to me, I think that it was fun at first. What they did to the first Assassin's Creed, really enjoyed. But they've lost something special about their brand by trying to have this uniformity in each game. I don't know if you guys agree with that.
I agree, Chris. I think Bradley's a little bit more I'm
a bit more lenient. I'm still enjoying some things, but we don't know what we're missing out on from this. Just because I'm enjoying this doesn't mean I'm not regretful for missing out on something
I think Ubisoft used to make so much different stuff.
I do agree with that completely.
And I think maybe hopefully with him leaving, it will go back to, and we won't get into it too much, but there's all these sexual allegations against him and all sorts of nightmare of him being
typical
misogynistic pig executive who obviously just was like, how can I get my microtransactions in there? I don't know why it's Luigi.
I was going to say, that was not French.
He's another French.
I apologise to the French for that, because that was terrible. But yeah, I mean, hopefully, but yeah, I mean, like you say, I think Bradley was more on the fence until you said that he could be the reason we don't have a Splinter Cell. And all
we might get something announced, but apparently he was the reason why that franchise had been, because it didn't tick his boxes. It's
No.
not an open world.
It's not got much.
It's hard to push micro.
Yeah,
I think you could do an open world Splinter Cell. But if they didn't advertise it that way, then I guess
it's always been a linear
like,
franchise, isn't it? I think it works really well with story missions and environments you go through right?
as you move.
Yeah.
But yeah, the last thing I wanted to say on this is I don't know if you guys read this in my outline.
Go for it.
But one of the reasons this got cancelled is this Seige guy. He apparently was not a big fan of the King Arthur setting, despite saying, after apparently what Mike Laidlaw had come up with, he wasn't a big fan of. Because do you want to know his exact words for what he wanted from this setting?
Go for it.
Are you ready for this, Bradley?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He said it has to be better than Tolkien, which is the
King
Lord
Arthur
creator, Middle-earth creator. He wanted a better story than Tolkien.
You said this guy's gone, right?
Yeah, because he's got all this song.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Mind-blowing. I mean,
what does he expect?
I mean, Mike Laidlaw is a talented guy, and I love Dragon Age. But
yeah, obviously, but but you're working with, you're also working with the material that already exists.
Yeah,
like King Arthur
exists. Yeah.
You can't reinvent the wheel with King Arthur. It's King Arthur. There's going to be a sword, probably. There's going to be a kingdom. There's going to be a round table. Like you can't do an infinite amount with it. You can't just create a whole new world. Unless you do, and you literally just use the name essentially.
Yeah.
But that is asking way too much. That's ridiculous.
Honestly, when I read that, I was just like, no wonder Mike, it got cancelled and Mike left because, how I just can't fathom how you.
It's the fact that he wants to go up against a giant like that with a huge fandom, and he's like, right, just do it, as if it's that easy.
It's also the case with most fantasy games. Like Dragon Age is, you have to have a couple of games to build up that universe.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
To have a universe as rich as Tolkien's from one game.
That's asking even more. Yeah.
But this sort of feeds into my last bit of news for this week, which is actually Mike Laidlaw. We got some Dragon Age 4 news.
Okay.
And Mike Laidlaw actually is back at BioWare now.
Right.
After he was a bit disgruntled, he said he didn't like the direction the company was going.
Okay.
Which kind of looks like a hint at Anthem and the failure of Mass Effect Andromeda.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But he's back at them now. He went to Ubisoft, obviously dealt with Sergey and was like, oh God. Went back. So to me, this is either, he's gone back where he's safe, or maybe they've said to him, because of the failures of Anthem and Mass Effect Andromeda, we're trying to go a bit more to our roots.
Yeah.
And I think him being back on board on Dragon Age 4 is massively positive.
I don't have too much to say about Dragon Age, only because I think they're cool and everything, and I'll forever remember the trailer.
Which one?
This is War by 36 Mars.
There's cinematic trailers for Dragon Age 1 and Dragon Age 2.
Yeah,
are amazing.
I can't remember which one it was. I think it might have been Origins, maybe.
Yeah, Origins has 2 cinematic trailers. Warden's Call.
It's on the one.
And one where they're up a mountain.
It's snow.
And it's awesome.
Yeah, that's the with 30 Seconds to Mars in it. But other than that, I've never really played the game, so I can't say much about it. But I mean, if you think it sounds cool, you're going to know. So
I think for me, they are. They're very old school RPGs. They're very much in a 14 dungeon crawl, but they had that old school spirit. But they also had this BioWare, Mass Effect-y sort of squad mate sort of interacting with, and even in a way that in Dragon Age your squad mates were even more integral to the story than even your squad mates were in Mass Effect.
Okay,
and that's why people loved it so much. I think in a lot of ways.
Bradley, did you ever play Dragon Age?
Yeah, I played 2 and Inquisition. I loved them both.
Oh, you never played Origins, Bradley?
I never played Origins. No, I went.
This is the one that everyone says is the best. You'd probably be a bit dated now for you to try and play.
Probably. I mean, I heard that the combat wasn't ever very good. When I had 2, I'd heard the combat was kind of meh.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, because that was one of the things that drew me in. I remember the beginning of 2. You start out like really OP with whatever class you pick, and I loved that. That's what brought me in, and because I played the demo, and then I literally just waited till my birthday because I didn't have any money because I was too young, and I was like, yes, please. I want to start this now, and then I just like started it, and I absolutely loved it, and then got Inquisition when it came out.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that's really cool with Dragon Age as well is there's actually a website that you can send your save files to, and basically like Mass Effect.
I did that.
Yeah, and it's awesome if you started with Origins though, because it's literally...
Yeah, well, that's the thing is because like I was trying to do my Dragon Age 2 save into Inquisition.
Yeah,
and they're asking me about Origins, and I'm like, yep.
Yeah,
I mean, definitely did that.
So much more happens in Origins than it does in 2.
Yeah, definitely. From what I saw that from there.
But before I talk about Dragon Age for Eternity, one thing I wanted to mention about is news, this isn't new news, but they've said that Dragon Age 4 is going to be a live service game.
Right.
Which is slightly terrifying for me.
Which is...
A live service game is a game that gets updated regularly.
Throughout.
A lot of the time, there's some sort of monetary... Like, a live service game is Destiny 2, where they expansion packs constantly every certain amount of months, and you pay for this expansion pack.
Each time.
Sometimes live service games are free. Battlefront 2 is a good example of a live service game that gave you free updates. So it's not necessarily...
It could be okay, but it's also a terrifying thought.
And for an RPG, and that's the same thing they said about Anthem, and then that was completely and utterly abandoned.
It is a weird thing for this kind of game.
Yeah, and the worrying thing is they said it with Anthem, and then because of the way Anthem's sales went and the player base like plummeting, they pretty much abandoned Anthem.
Yeah, which is a shame.
Well, there's a bit more with this news that actually says that Dragon Age 4 might take a little bit longer than the original release dates and stuff.
Okay.
Because I don't know if you know this, but at the minute, half of the people at BioWare, well, maybe, there's a huge amount of people at BioWare who are trying to remake certain aspects of Anthem.
Oh, okay.
They want to do an update to Anthem that reinvigorates it, like an Anthem 2.0.
Okay.
They want to fix a load of the base problems, and they want this to be...
The game it should have been.
The game it should have been.
That's cool.
Which is exciting, but they've said because of this, we're taking our time with Dragon Age, and it will be ready when it's ready.
When it's ready,
yeah.
I think
which is good, like we've discussed before.
We've always discussed
as much as I want it now. Yeah. But it also gives me a chance to replay through Origins 2 and Inquisition. And be super excited for 4, right? Yeah.
No, that's cool. I mean, like we've always said, that delays are never a bad thing unless they're Cyberpunk. We're understood running thing, isn't it? It always is, though.
The worst one for me was Mountain Blade. That got delayed like 7 years or something. Every year.
It's coming out soon.
It's come out, but it's in early access. So it's not even finished.
Was that all of your news?
Yes, that's me done, guys.
Yeah. All right, so I have one bit of television news and 2 bits of gaming news. So I'll start off with the television, just to get it out of the way. Now, I don't actually know. I've never spoken to either of you about this, which is why I'm quite interested. So TV series, Chernobyl, right? So the 2020 British Academic Television Awards was on July 31st. This has actually been awarded that has received the most awards for a British TV series in a single year. Did either of you see it?
No.
Amazing. One of the best TV shows of this year. Right. Hands down.
So you've seen it.
I heard good things about
Bradley,
it.
You never saw it, no?
No.
I don't know why I'm asking you. Wasn't it? I saw it too. I literally...
I did not expect much from it.
Neither did I.
I thought that, because a lot of the time I think critics overhype stuff.
They do, yeah.
And make a lot of smoke out of nothing a lot of the time, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I wholeheartedly agree with the critics. This is a amazing, gut-wrenching series.
Did you not feel like... Did you go into it in the same mind I went into it, which was that you kind of was like, being a drama and stuff like that, you kind of... You know kind of the premise of the program, obviously, and I kind of went into it thinking, how could it be this? Because I didn't watch it when it first. I watched it not long after release, but I think someone in my family had watched it all before I did and said to me, "Jack, you need to watch this." And I sat down, put the first episode on, and I was like, oh, how could this be this interesting? Like, and I was so hooked, and it was shot amazing.
So
it was,
intense.
and it didn't just make like you come away from it and you go, wow, like that happened as well. That really happened. And
how did that happen?
Yeah, how? Yeah, and Bradley, I know we say this to you every week, but honestly, if it's you should just add it to the list. Yeah, it is worth watching. And
I've actually watched some of the things that you've recommended.
I'm pretty sure it's a limited series as well, Bradley. I think it's like 8 episodes.
There was only 8 episodes or something like that. Yeah, but it was.
Okay then.
Wasn't it just incredible?
Oh, Bradley, honestly, you sort of like historical sort of events, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. For someone who likes history and it is so jaw-droppingly terrifying and astonishing, like Jack said, because it's so intense and insane, and then it hits you when you finish an episode that it's real.
Yeah,
right. But is all of it real then, or is it exaggerated at all?
Pretty much. They got in a lot of trouble because it pretty much paints the espionage that went on, and it does throw the Soviet Union under the bus. So
right. I can imagine. Yeah.
But it tries to. It's not like, oh, this side's bad, this side's good. It just tries to show the full story, right? And honestly, even the politics in it's shocking.
But I would honestly say that from the very first episode, because it kind of the start is the start of the program. I don't know if you remember, Chris. The very first episode, without any spoilers, is in the future, a little bit ahead of time, and then it goes backwards, doesn't it? Yeah. And then the start. I think the first episode is actually when the reactor went into meltdown. Yeah. And you just sit there, like, it's actually giving me shivers even talking about it, because you sit there and you just think, this really happened to these people, like, that were working. Imagine the fear
and the tension throughout.
Yeah.
I don't know how they did it.
It was
but however they shot it, however they put it together, there's this sense of dread and terror.
I won't say anything else, but about what actually happened. Do you remember the bit with the helicopters where they tried to get the water? That was incredible, wasn't it? You just sit there like, oh my god, this is like.
Without any spoilers, there's a scene. I won't say what happens, but when they're on a roof doing something.
Yeah, I remember.
And oh my, that entire time I was like on the edge of my seat.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
And even though this has all happened, it's like it is fantastic and well deserving of the awards. It's got.
Couldn't agree more.
No, I agree.
Are you going to watch it, Bradley?
Potentially. Where can I watch it?
So I think it was Sky, wasn't it?
It was on Sky. I don't know what channel it was.
I think it was on HBO.
Yeah.
I think Sky.
Okay.
Sky One and HBO.
Yeah.
So
probably check on catch up.
Have you got Sky TV, Bradley?
Yeah. So should be able to watch them.
Box sets. It might be on there.
It should be on box sets.
Or catch up. But yeah, it's definitely worth the go. Moving on to gaming news. Of course, Ghost of Tsushima is in here, right? Okay.
Of course you're going to talk about it.
Of course I was going to talk about it.
I left that one for you.
There's a review coming at some point. Anyway, so Ghost of Tsushima sold 2.4 million copies in 3 days and is the most successful, fastest selling new IP from Sony this generation. What do we think about that?
Oh, that's a mouthful, isn't it?
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Did you hear me take my time to make sure I didn't say something wrong? But come on. That is impressive, right?
That's impressive. We've now found that slap a samurai on a game and people will buy it.
Slap a samurai on a game?
I think all Sony's releases, God of War, Last of Us 2.
This is what I mean. This is why it's so surprising that it's outdone all of them.
It has. I mean, it didn't do God of War, did it?
I don't think it outdid either of those, because the award they've given it is best-selling new IP.
Yeah.
So,
right, and things like God of War wouldn't count because technically it's an old IP redone.
This is where they try to say, oh, it sold really well. What award can we give it?
Yeah.
Well, it didn't do as well as these two, but it's a new IP.
So
it outdid A Love of Mine though, Bloodborne.
Oh, really? Did it?
Well, clearly, because Bloodborne was this generation. I don't know. So by that statistic, it outdid Bloodborne, which I'm kind of upset.
I just want to tell everyone quickly. So, I mean, the first thing I'll say about it is, yes, this game is
and
incredible.
it beat Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
So
that's just come to PC, I think.
So just a quick few things I'll say about it. Obviously, the game is incredible. I'm still loving every second of it. I still have barely done much of it because it's just so attractive and everything about it is incredible. But it's a great way to send off this generation of console, do you not think? Like a great big game release that's just making a mark.
Basically, you could just have that meme of the African doing the coffin dance.
Yeah.
And have PS4 being the 4 Africans.
Yeah.
And Xbox being the coffin.
Yeah.
Because this generation has been a massacre.
Yeah.
It's been a landslide for releases.
And one other thing I'll say, obviously we've got this incredible amount of sales being made. So obviously 2.4 million in 3 days, right? I saw another statistic about the same game, right? About Ghost of Tsushima. So you can pet foxes in the game, okay? And you find them and they lead you to shrines and you honor them and they give you skill points and stuff, yeah. And after you've honored the shrine, you can turn around and pet the fox. 10 million foxes have been pet since the release of the game. 10 million. And I can proudly say I am definitely one of them. I'm in that statistic, yeah. Because every time I do a shrine, and there was one time where the game, it didn't glitch, but it was on a real cliff face, and the fox, I didn't know where the fox went afterwards, because usually it sits behind you and waits to see if you pet it, but it wasn't there when I turned around. You have no idea how devastated I was. I ran around looking for it. I'm scaling this mountain.
I will give you gratitude.
Yeah, you will be thanked for your but yeah, no, that is incredible, and yeah, the game is just it's
phenomenal.
It's phenomenal.
And like you said, just what a perfect send off for this generation.
Yeah.
For PlayStation.
Yeah. The next one and the last piece of news for me is horror based, which we know. Yeah, I was gonna say, someone give me dramatic. Yeah. So, I don't know if you remember a good few years. I mean, I can't even tell you how many years ago.
I know what you're going to talk about.
The Silent Hills PT, yeah, right, which was for me when I first saw someone play that. It was the most shockingly scary, intense thing I'd ever witnessed.
That's the weird thing with Norman Reedus and the baby, isn't it? The horror thing.
Yeah. Oh, it was just.
Well, no, not the baby. That was just Norman Reedus.
No, that's Death Stranding. No, there was a baby.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Chris is right. Yeah, Chris is right. So basically,
you just go through the hallways.
Yeah, and it just goes in a
loop.
loop.
Loves Norman Reedus babies. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I was going to say not that Norman Reedus baby, not Death Stranding.
No, not the baby.
I was just making it clear for the listener.
No, so basically, there was it was a looping corridor. And it was like you had to. A lot of people just played it on a loop for ages and ages and ages.
It was a demo, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. But it eventually just ended if you just weren't doing the right thing. But if you can interact with every small thing in that setting, and it's like hyper. It looks hyper realistic. I mean, when it was released, especially.
Oh yeah, definitely. It was insane.
You can trigger the next section of that walkthrough where you're on this loop if you do the right things. But people were playing it over and over and over again. And
I
was incredible. Yeah, and what people were doing walkthroughs on how to get to the next bit and how to finish it and stuff like that. And it was genuinely terrifying. And I mean, I just remember thinking, when's this game coming? But it never did.
Cancelled.
And it was cancelled. Yeah. Now, not too long ago, Kojima was asked by a fan at Comic-Con what he was working on, and he responded with a horror game. So straight away, everyone was like, oh my God, is this the game that we never got? But it isn't. And I think you know about this as well, Chris. He confirmed it wasn't the same game.
It wasn't, sadly.
But he wants to kind of, I actually heard a bit about this. He wants to use a similar premise to create a game that is just as shocking and terrifying as this demo was, but kind of take a different path on it. But that for me is obviously way more attractive than it probably is for you. But
I honestly, I'm not a big horror guy, but I can remember watching that because I remember Norman Reedus being in it and being like, oh, that's quite cool.
Check it out, yeah.
And then being blown away by it. And like I say, I'm not a big Bradley. Did you ever see that gameplay demo? Or
you must have.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I used to watch a lot of YouTubers back then, and everyone was playing it. It was just the thing, and it was creepy. I'm not someone to get scared very easily. It didn't scare me, but it was creepy. It had such an eerie.
It probably would have been even more terrifying than
Oh God, yeah. It was just turn off all the lights and it just becomes this creep fest.
And what's really cool is even now there's still fan theories about what was happening in the demo and about being followed the whole time and stuff like that.
I think that's what interested me as well. Is it was very mysterious.
There was so much depth to it,
which is very
considering it was just one hallway essentially.
Yeah, a revolving corridor. Yeah, but obviously speaking of Kojima, he's made some.
He's a visionary.
Masterpiece. Yeah. So we've got Metal Gear Solid.
You might not like his stuff, but unique.
Well, Death Stranding is a prime example, isn't it? You know?
I mean, even Metal Gear Solid. Metal Gear Solid is like James Bond meets Japan and let's throw some mechs and
Meets Japan.
It's just the Metal Gear franchise. I love the Metal Gear franchise, but it's just insanity.
It is.
It makes hardly any sense, and it's awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean that's pretty much what I was going to say. Obviously, I can't wait to see what happens with this, and I'll definitely be checking out this horror game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Moving on though, I'm going to carry on now. We're obviously doing our solo reviews. I'm going to do a TV series, which again I moved away from games this week. Netflix.
Working on Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, Ghost of Tsushima is going to be like I think I might need my own podcast for it. No, but anyway, so TV, Netflix, original, Curse. 10 episodes, I believe 10 episodes.
I have not seen it.
I think there was 10 episodes or just under, maybe 9 or 8. I think there was 10 though. Yeah. Now I think about it, it might be 8. But either way.
Maybe you're cursed.
Yeah, maybe I am cursed. Anyway, so the actress, I believe her name is Abigail Langford or something like that.
Yes.
She plays Hannah Baker in 13 Reasons Why.
Yeah.
Which I know you're probably, honestly, I can't even tell you.
I just know that from the memes.
You would be shocked. No, you would be shocked. I sat and watched 13 Reasons Why, and I could honestly say it was one of the best TV shows I've ever seen. And I'm not
surprised you liked it.
I'm not going to go into it, but it is.
I think I'd rather hit my head over the desk.
No, 13 Reasons is good.
It's good, isn't it, Bradley? Have you seen it?
Yeah. I've seen the first 2 seasons, I think.
Yeah, but it got better and better, and it was incredible. But anyway, so I was interested to see this series come up, and I was almost more interested that, obviously, knowing what her character was like, and that's the only thing I've ever seen her in 13 Reasons Why, and then to see her cast as this character was a real that's a bit weird. It's a great program. Do you know what?
Isn't it kind of weirdly enough? Isn't it kind of like a take on King Arthur?
So it's I don't, obviously, if anyone really knows, like the backstory and all that sort of thing, and really delves into King Arthur. Obviously, I'm sorry if I offend anyone here because I don't know that stuff too much. But what the take I got? But what the take I got on it is it's pre King Arthur.
Okay.
And it's quite a long
so it's old timey.
Yeah, and it's basically Merlin is around. Merlin loses his magic, right? He loses the ability to do magic, right? Through the sword.
Okay.
And the sword is pretty much Excalibur, right? It's not, they never call it Excalibur, but it's a magic sword, right? It's not in a stone, but basically the feeling I got from it is, so the main character in it, Nimue, she is a witch. Her family are like witches from the wood, right? And they can control the trees and things like that. And they're outcasts pretty much.
Because of the time period.
Yeah, and basically what it's about is there's all these different, these different species and things like that living amongst the wood and things like that. And Merlin, it's like all about prophecies and things like that.
Yeah, very King Arthur.
Yeah. But basically, Merlin loses his magic, and he is not dying, but he's just an old fool, basically. Yeah, and
it's an old man.
Their paths become crossed, and she gets told that she's part of a prophecy where she is supposed to have the sword. The sword is drawn to her, and she's supposed to wield it.
Poor old Arthur.
Right.
Literally.
But what's great is that it crosses this line between it takes, obviously, for the start, she's a female. And it takes this whole different spin.
Yeah, I mean, we've had so many male King Arthurs.
Yeah,
and
she's obviously she's got magic as well. So it's not like Merlin and King Arthur. It's not like he's just King Arthur. She's Merlin.
She sort of understands him.
Yeah, and it's real fun. It's a great program. There's what I quite liked is, you remember 300 and the 300 film and Rise of what's the second film called? Empire.
Rise of an Empire.
Yeah.
I think it is.
You know how the fight scenes are done in that with the CGI blood?
Yes.
And it's over the top.
It's very stylistic.
Yeah. This is the same. So the blood is it's a bit over the top, but it's cool for the style. It fits and obviously because a lot of it's set in the wood. It's very pretty, the program. It's very colourful. It's a lot of greens, a lot of blues. The lakes are obviously really crystal blues, and I just really enjoyed it. There's magic, there's fighting, there's good action scenes, there's some cool characters. I think they definitely are hinting at season 2.
Oh yeah. It's Netflix. Come on,
I was going to say it's Netflix.
Wants 10 seasons.
But I know, and I could be wrong with the whole fandom and everything like this, and the King Arthur backstory, but I kind of got the feeling that they're kind of hinting towards her being the Lady of the Lake. Who gives Arthur the sword
to Arthur? Yeah,
they never confirmed that, but I kind of got that vibe because there's a lot of obviously she's a lady, and she becomes like this. That when she's got the sword, she becomes the all powerful, when everyone wants to bow to her. But it's all about her conflict because she doesn't want it.
She's the watery tart.
Yeah, who threw the sword? He got the sword. Yeah, and made him.
You don't know what that reference is. I'm ashamed.
Yeah, that's Monty Python. But yes, it is brilliant and good acting. But there's also, which is even weirder, there's a character in it who is like the sidekick, and his name is Arthur. And I'm like, is this
setting something up?
Is it setting something up, or is it just meant to be coincidental that his name is Arthur?
No, that wouldn't be coincidental.
That's what I thought, but it could be because
if they're trying to throw you for a loop, and she.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. If they're trying to make you, I was going to say they wouldn't have just forgot and been like, "Whoops."
It could, and that's what I quite liked, is that there's a couple of bits where like he's drawn to the sword, and like a couple of bits where he tries to take it from her, and it's like this conflict between the two of them, but he tries to take it and that, and I'm like,
both attracted to the sword.
Yeah, and I'm like, so is he going to end up being Arthur? And she decides to give him the sword because she doesn't want it, because obviously in turn as well she has magic, so it's not like she's useless, but when she does have the sword on top of her magic, she's pretty OP.
But maybe it's because she's got magic, she can wield the sword better.
Yeah.
Then this average Joe's like.
Well, what I quite liked as well is that she's got no experience. She's not a fighter. She's not violent. Even her magic, she doesn't use it for violence. She's an outcast, right? So basically, she's bullied. She's an outcast society, and she only really uses her magic in a panic. So she doesn't even really know how to control that. So I quite like the fact that when she has the sword, I mean, it's made that way. I'm not calling her a bad actress or anything, but she's meant to look like she has no idea how to wield a sword. Right? Okay. But she demolishes like groups of men with it, and I'm like who are trained.
One part of I know some of the idea of the Fury Nation. It's almost a sword as its own living entity.
Exactly, and
that's kind of like the sword guides her.
It does, and this is what happens is that when she's using it, she almost seems like she's useless with it, but the sword just does not let her lose, basically. but the sword is actually draining, like it not damaging her, but it's basically using power. It's drawing power from her.
Oh, okay. Right. She's like a magic battery.
She's an entity. Yeah, she's like an entity control. Yeah, but honestly, I would suggest giving it a go, because especially if you're into that whole King Arthur thing, and it's a different take for sure.
I hadn't really been too bothered about it, but I'll give it a go.
Yeah, I think definitely would. And I know if there's a second season, then and I really like the casting as well. Merlin, I'm not actually sure who he was, but he was great as Merlin, and he kind of plays this like, because he hasn't got the magic in the he's weak and he's older and he's struggling because his life's changed basically. He just kind of becomes a bit of like a drunk fool, he kind of gives up on the whole magic thing and that, because. And until he realizes that their paths have collided, and there's a reason, and obviously I won't spoil that, but there's a big reason for it, and he then becomes like a mentor almost, there's a lot of like twists in the story and things like that, and there's, like I say, there was some really really impressive cool action scenes which I actually was surprised about. I kind of wasn't expecting
Netflix
much.
Series can sometimes be a bit interesting with action.
Yeah, and that's why I was kind of impressed with.
They're either really good, or they have like one set piece, and then the rest is sort of.
Yeah, but there's a lot about like the kind of path it follows is the Red Paladins. So they're like religious, that they want these witches out, and any creature that's not just a human, they're just. They're meant to have made monsters. They look like
crazy,
nut jobs, like cult. They're a cult, and that's exactly it. And
they're based every fantasy setting.
Yeah, but it also follows. There's little bits in there about Vikings and stuff, which is quite cool. Like,
because that sort of, I believe King Arthur's meant to be around from the myth. 500. 400 AD.
So they have like they show you like a Viking king and he's camp, and basically he wants her gone because he wants to be the all-time king basically. And they show you a little bit of like Viking raids and stuff, and it's pretty cool.
I mean, obviously Viking raids are historically speaking, quite a bit
Yeah,
further.
yeah.
Not to say that maybe a few didn't happen.
Exactly. Well, it's not so.
Yeah,
much
it happened over hundreds of years.
Yeah,
so.
it's not.
Yeah.
But it's not either. They don't go for the proper, like, the traditional what we think of a Viking raid. They do like. Where I'm talking more like, little groups of Viking warriors will go out and they'll literally find like a small camp and they'll just like, they'll kidnap or kill basically. But there's a lot of like conflict between groups and things like that in there. I really liked it. It was like a miniature, and I mean miniature, but like a really small scale Game of Thrones / like Witcher. Yeah, and I really liked it. I enjoyed it definitely.
Cool. Yeah, I'll give it a go. You think about giving it a go, Bradley?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think much of it. Like you said, I kind of passed on it. I thought it kind of. You said about being surprised about the action scenes. I was kind of like anticipating that it wouldn't be very good. That it would, it kind of
default, isn't it?
I think it's.
Well, I don't know. The trailers and stuff just don't make it look very interesting.
No.
So I think now that you've said that, it might be something I have to give a go. Because of, I don't know, I feel like maybe they didn't market it in the right way. Because
it's on your long list to watch now, isn't it?
Yeah,
probably. Yeah, it'll be on there somewhere.
But I think you should give it a go. Like I say, I think we were all kind of thinking the same thing about the action, but it was surprising.
You were the brave one to give it a go.
I only gave it a go, and I'll be honest, again, like you say, I didn't think the trailer made it look very good either. But the reason I gave it a go was because I was, when you're sitting on Netflix and you haven't moved anything in a while, when it comes up with suggestions or coming soon, and then it just kept coming up, and I just kept seeing it, and I was like, I need to know what this is. So I just put it on, and one day I was like, I'm just going to chuck this on and see what happens.
See what happens.
I watched it all, pretty much watched it in 2 days, so I really enjoyed it.
Pretty good.
But yeah, go on. Somebody else hit me with some news, with a review.
Was news?
Yeah, don't hear any more news.
Too much. No, yeah, I've got a review today, and like I said, I am working on a couple different games that I want to do reviews for, but I haven't done enough in them to give a review. Give a good enough review. So what I wanted to touch on today is my first ever negative review.
Oh no!
Oh my!
So,
I didn't know we were those kind of people.
Yeah, no. Well, I'm going to talk about positives that I liked.
I will do what I must.
But I have to be honest about how I felt about this, because I was really excited for this.
Yeah,
basically,
definitely.
A new series dropped on Netflix again, and it is Transformers: The Fall of Cybertron Seige, and it's basically it's made in Japan. It's an anime. The version of Netflix is an English dub, and it's an anime Transformers series about the fall of Cybertron, which for me sounded amazing. I don't know about you guys. Do you like that sort of? Because I loved the Fall of Cybertron games.
Yeah, the Fall of Cybertron games was amazing, and I don't follow Transformers all that much, but obviously I've seen all the movies and stuff like that, and I always really loved the Transformers universe in general. I always thought it was awesome, and I think Fall of Cybertron was really cool.
It's probably my favourite.
Yeah, it was.
Did you play those games, Bradley?
No, I played the original PS2 Transformers.
I remember that game, but you're missing out massively.
Bradley.
But, yeah, I haven't played the games, but
Golden Oldie. That's going to be a
Golden
Oldie.
Oldie.
Yeah.
Which one? The PS2 one?
No, we could actually do that one as well.
But no, the Fall of Cybertron.
But the second Fall of Cybertron.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. I can't remember what the name of it was, but it's a phenomenal. The first one's okay. The first one's quite fun. Second one is phenomenal. The third one's garbage.
Right.
Weirdly, because Activision rushed them out the gate with the third one.
I did not. I thought there was only one, to be honest.
Oh, Bradley, the second one. I know I won't talk about it because I've gone about it forever. It's such a fun third-person shooter, but because this series was drawing from that same sort of time period, it's the Autobots versus the Decepticons. It's on Cybertron, and the video game does a really good job of encapsulating that this is a alien civilization in the midst of a full-blown civil war.
Right.
But for me, the problem I had with this series is it felt so small scale. It's meant to be a giant civil war, and it never feels like that. And I'll talk about what I liked about it to begin with. I liked the art style. So the art style it looks like the original Transformers series, which is called G1, Generation 1. And that for me is very nostalgic because I grew up watching that series. And it's sort of like they look like they do in that series, but like a modern take. If that makes sense?
Yeah.
And that's something I loved about it. I think it looks very good when characters are not moving. When characters aren't in motion or they're just talking or standing still, it looks really, really good. The part where the animation doesn't hold up is when they're fighting or moving really quickly.
Right.
Which is a massive letdown.
Yeah.
And like I say, it's too small scale. I think it looks good when it's not moving. I like what they've tried to do with it.
Yeah.
But what they've basically done is they've taken the very end of the war. So the Autobots are pretty much a spent force. Right. They're done. There's like maybe 100 of them left.
Okay.
And the Decepticons rule everything. And you follow Optimus Prime and the Autobots in this desperate... There's only like, I believe there's 6 episodes. It's a limited series.
Oh, yeah.
So, to be fair to them, it felt more like this is what we could have, right? It felt like a tester, a tryout.
Yeah.
And for that, I think it has a potential for a second season to be amazing. But from what I wanted from it, I was just left really disappointed.
Okay.
There were aspects I really liked about it. Like I said, the references back to the old Transformers, a boatload of Transformers characters as well as new ones. And the thing that's really fun is Megatron isn't evil in this to begin with. You follow a man, because if you know anything about Transformers, basically the Transformers, the Autobots and the Decepticons rise up against the Quintessons, which are the people who made them, these other robotic life forms.
Okay.
And so Megatron is kind of this war leader with Optimus and with Ultra Magnus, and he's kind of a beacon of hope. It's only later where he becomes a bit of a dictator, and in this they sort of explain how he's looked up to and admired, and the Autobots are looked at as terrorists, but because of the war, Megatron has slowly become more and more dark and sort of twisted. Right. And that's something I really enjoyed, because I like this idea of Megatron being this idealist, being this general who wanted freedom, but then as he fights and fights, he gets disillusioned and he realizes, like, why should I fight for that, right? And there's even fun in the series where Decepticons betray Megatron in this series because they're like, he's lost his mind. There's a bit where he executes a prisoner of war, and even a few of the Decepticons at this point are like, what are you doing? What have you done?
Yeah. And
that for me was very adult and very fun. And I know a big contention for this series was that the voice for Megatron is not Frank Welker, right, and the voice for Optimus is not Peter Cullen, right, who is the voice from the movies, the iconic voices.
Oh.
But what I will say is, as someone pointed out, as much as I love those two, and to me they are the definitive voices for Megatron and Optimus, right? But they're both getting on, and they're not going to be with us for. No. They are. Peter Cullen is really old.
Yeah. Oh, is he?
They're not going to be with us forever. So why not have someone else have their take on it? Because eventually you're going to have someone else.
When he transforms and rolls out.
I still want Peter Cullen.
Oh, that's really sad.
It's really sad, isn't it, when you think about it?
But, I mean, he's great. He's the perfect Optimus. But you have to realise eventually these guys...
Yeah, if we want the character to live on.
Yeah. So that was a bit jarring. The guy who does Megatron, I don't know his name, but I generally thought he was really good. The guy who was doing Optimus Prime, I think he was trying really hard, but it felt like he was trying to mimic...
To be the same.
Peter Cullen.
Yeah, which is always disappointing.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to do his own sort of take on it.
Yeah.
So, to be honest, that's all I really want to say about it. It's just the acting is good. The action is a bit underwhelming because the animation doesn't look so good in movement.
Right.
But there's elements, if you are a old school Transformers fan,
you probably enjoy it.
Or if you like the Fall of Cybertron, you probably enjoy it. And I think it sets a good precedent for an amazing second season.
Yeah.
It's just a bit of an underwhelming first
experience.
season.
Yeah.
For someone who was, maybe that's
Hyped
just
for
because I was so
Hyper for it.
excited about this.
Yeah. Just quickly, sorry, I was actually just looking while you was talking. So the games there was, so you had, I don't know what order, but you had War for Cybertron, Fall of Cybertron.
Oh, wait, I might have played
and then you
War
had
for
the
Cybertron.
last one was called The Rise of the Dark Spark,
which is the one that was
that you didn't like.
disaster.
Yeah. Pretty sure that's them, but yeah, they're all Xbox.
Maybe that's why I only thought there was one, because they have different names technically.
Yeah, no, Bradley, honestly.
I think I might have played War for Cybertron.
They are great.
War is the first, I think, and then Fall is the second. Fall is the best.
Fall
is amazing.
Yeah, I don't think I've played that one. I think I've played one of them. One of them had an online, and I think I might have played.
Yeah, it did have
they all have an online.
Yeah, and you customize your car you change it into.
Yeah, that's why I remember it.
Obviously, that's why I remember it as well, because I customize the options.
Yeah. Honestly, I think they're sleeper games. They're really great, especially the second one. The campaign in the second one is amazing. Like even the first level, you activate a guy called Fortress Maximus, who is this gigantic city-sized Autobot.
Yeah.
And it's the most amazing first mission ever, Bradley. Like,
it does sound pretty cool.
And then you rotate between all different characters. You play as Optimus, you play as Megatron, you play as the Dinobots, which are amazing. So you can play as the giant T-Rex one.
Yeah.
You also play as the Constructicons, which I don't know if you remember this bit, Jack, but they combined into a giant Decepticon. And you do this set piece where you play as him and you just rampage through an army of Autobots. And it is so fun, Bradley. It's just mindless, like crushing and destroying everything.
Sounds good.
But yeah, that's all I had to say about that. So I would recommend it if you're a Transformers fan, but it's not the best thing that the Transformers license has ever done.
No.
That's where I'm going to leave that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's. I don't think we've got another review for today, have we? We're moving on.
No. I mean, you two did TV reviews. I haven't really got anything to say about TV, and I haven't really played anything new this week. So I kind of just thought, rather than talk about something random or old, I'll just leave it this week, and we can just.
Well, that's all right, because we've
save it for next week.
To talk about next, which I think we've all got plenty to say on, which is a series retrospective. We are going through Halo.
I told you this is going to be a Halo podcast from now on.
We promise you every episode is not going to have Halo in it, but at the moment it's current. So we've got, and Chris has a lot to say about Halo anyway. So, where do you want to start, Chris?
So I'll go first. And for me, so we had to say what is our peak Halo, what is our favourite Halo. And this is really hard for me because I have genuinely enjoyed all of them.
Yeah.
People hate Halo 5. I still really like Halo 5.
I enjoyed it.
Especially for the movement. That's something I really enjoy in 5. So it's hard for me to narrow it down. But if I had to...
Gun to your head.
My favourite single player and multiplayer is Halo 3.
Okay.
Ooh. I'm glad. I'm glad you've said that. Anyway, carry on.
And it's bizarrely as well. I think I'm a bit biased on the multiplayer side of things.
Yeah, I knew you'd say 3 as well. I said you'd say 3 before. When I saw this, I said Chris is going to say 3.
Because for the multiplayer things, I think actually, objectively, Halo Reach and Halo 5 have better multiplayers.
Mm-hmm. I
think Halo 5's multiplayer is awesome. I think Halo Reach's multiplayer is awesome. But for whatever reason, I love Halo 3 the most because I'm better at it. I'm so good at Halo 3 online. It's ridiculous. And I don't know why. I cannot explain to you why, but I can play a free-for-all and the chances are I'll come first.
Yeah.
Like, there's something about that game where I just demolish.
You just zone in, you just lock into it, and you're just there.
I love it for that reason, and it's just classic Halo.
Yeah, it is.
Even though it's very jarring to not be able to run, you get used to it. Like, you move a lot faster in 3 than the others.
You do in the others.
Chief's like normal move speed is fast, and I could gush for days about Halo 3 story.
Mm-hmm.
To me, Halo 3 story is the peak Halo. It has literally everything good about the Halo franchise across that campaign.
Yeah.
It's brutal, it's hopeful, it's down crushing. There's a sense that you're on the back foot that this is the end, that Earth is going to be over. The whole African segments where you have to drive the hogs across the highways.
Yeah.
The segments where you fight the scarabs. To the first time the Flood are introduced.
Yeah.
This goes from this intense shooter, and the first time they show up on High Charity, they slip space in, and they crash into the African city. And the game takes a 180. It goes from this intense shooting experience, it's a lot of fun, to a very scary, uncomfortable horror. I watched a YouTuber recently play it for the first time, and he genuinely freaked out the first time. It is different,
it's
because of the dynamic they flip on their head.
They do.
And also, I just love that the elites are your friends.
Yeah.
It's so... And cutscenes in this, like, I will always remember the cutscene where you go with the elite fleet as one human ship goes with the elite fleet, and you go to attack the prophets, and the elite fleet comes out, and there's the brute fleet off in the distance over the arc, and the elite turns to him and goes, "Shipmaster, they outnumber us 3-1," and the shipmaster slams his fist on the table and goes, "Then it is an even fight." And I'm like, and the music kicks in, and it's proper Halo. And there's this fleet battle going on, and Johnson's like, "Kick it," and then the Pelican detaches from it, and you're falling towards the planet as these fleets are fighting.
Yeah.
Honestly, Halo 3 is just perfection in the campaign. The multiplayer, not so much, even though it's my favourite. I understand it's very cool. But the campaign is just perfection.
Yeah.
There's not a mission I hate, and they're just all great, especially the last two missions.
Yeah.
Which I think are Covenant and the Ark. I want to say
it's the Ark. I think it's the last.
And
mission.
they're both really fun. They're almost semi-open world in a certain respect as well.
So, Bradley, do you want to go next, or do you want me to?
Do you want to quickly just give your opinion on Halo 3?
So this is why I kind of said, did Bradley want to go next or not? Because my opinion on Halo 3, I don't want to just say is my game too, but Halo 3 is, of all the Halos I played from the very first to the most recent, two stand out for me as the best. Like, in my opinion, there's two that stand out for me in the best, and Halo 3 is one of them. So obviously, I don't just want to say that because you've just gone over it all. But
I'm generally surprised.
But I agree with you though. But mine, for me, it isn't so much about multiplayer. It is just the story. I really enjoyed Halo 3's story. And do you know what? I would say that amongst this and the other one that I'll go on to in a second, it's the story I remember most, even though I played Halo 5 way more recently and Halo 4. I haven't played Halo 3 since Halo 3, really. So, yeah, exactly. And I remember, do you remember when we played Halo 3 around your house? And this is the most memorable thing for me. It was on multiplayer. And do you remember it was summertime, we was in your conservatory and we was eating ice lollies and we had a turret in each hand, like each of us had a turret in our hands, and we was still like top of the leaderboard. And we were just massacring. Yeah, and we were just massacring. But yeah, now, do you know what? Halo 3 always is memorable for me. And I remember these iconic moments in the story. I remember the emotional side of Halo 3 and things like that. And
that's something I didn't even touch on.
Yeah, there was a lot of emotion in Halo 3. And I remember, I think Halo 3 was the first time as well playing a game, like not a game ever, but in the Halo franchise anyway, that I did feel a bit like choked up about the emotion in the story, especially towards the end. And like, it did have this real like dooming sensation. Yeah, there was. Yeah. And do you know what? Halo 3 stands out for me. But Bradley, I'm guessing Halo 3 is not your favorite.
I absolutely loved Halo 3. But
before you talk about, is there anything you want to say about 3 before you go into your game?
What's your opinion?
Yeah. I mean, I love everything you've said. I agree with completely. But I also just remember 3 was a time where, like you said about sitting in the conservatory playing, that was a time where it was a really like friends-on game. You just jump into a like matchmaking with your friends, and you just it was just fun. It was just mindless fun.
Yeah,
custom games.
Yeah, I was going to say the people's like
the birth of.
Go on.
Yeah. No, I was going to say the birth of Griffball.
Yeah. Griffball. Yeah. But do you remember, was that the one as well? Halo 3 was around the time. Was that not around the time people started creating their own?
The police zombie game as well? Yeah. With the prisons.
Yeah. And do you remember, was that not when people were making racetracks with mongooses and stuff?
Yeah. Exactly. There's just all those memories.
But that's the memory.
There's actually a search engine for you to find custom games.
Really?
On Master Chief Collection.
Wow.
I play it every now and then.
Yeah, just to reminisce. But yeah, so yeah, I mean that's for me. I don't know what Bradley's favorite Halo is. Do you want me to go first, Bradley, or do you want to?
What is it? What's yours?
This is what I want to. I think
if they're different, it doesn't matter.
My favorite Halo, aside from 3, my favorite Halo, purely because for me it's the most memorable, was Halo Reach.
Ah,
was that what you was going to say?
You got a
yeah, of course it was.
Yeah, I knew you was going to. I thought that's why I was asking
Reach.
you.
It's gotta be Reach.
So considering your 2 favourites, Halo Reach, there's a quiz question later.
Oh, I'm not saying
if you
I'm
get it
that.
wrong,
No, I'm not going
massively
to say that because I'll get it wrong.
Oh yeah.
But Halo Reach, right? Okay, so the storyline Halo Reach, yeah. Obviously, it was different anyway from the other Halos because of obviously number one, you're not Chief, yeah. But you're this squad, right? And
I mean, you're hyper lethal. You're the only other Spartan next to Master Chief with the designation of hyper lethal.
But do you not remember like the storyline and like the team, the story that it follows this team? And do you remember like without obviously? I mean, this doesn't mean spoilers anymore, does it?
Well, this is the thing because it's Reach. If you've played 1, 2, and 3, you know that Reach falls.
Yeah,
and so you're kind of going in knowing like how it's gonna go in a way. If
but we're talking about like emotion and stuff, obviously of Halo 3. Do you remember the moment in Reach?
Reach tops Halo 3.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Remember
but it just tops it one by one, and that's what's most heartbreaking.
That's what I mean. It's interesting. It's like you said, you know it's coming.
Yeah.
But for some reason, the way they did it, it still hits you every
in the
time.
feels every time.
Every level when they up
this emotion
tension and what happens.
And do you remember like each? Obviously, we can talk about spoilers because of how old it is. I mean, but without like going into them too much. But do you remember like the one that stands out for me is? Do you remember? I think it's towards the very end as well. One of the last. Or one of the guys in the squad. Do you remember when you're on the ship and he pushes you off? Pushes you out the car, pushes you out the thing. Yeah. And,
at the very end. Yeah.
He takes some fire from a banshee.
Yes.
And he tells you and Emil to jump.
Yeah. And then just there's these like.
I think
moments.
the one that hit me.
You say to him as Noble 6, where he says 6. She chose you. She made the right call. And even 6 looks at him and goes, "It's been an honour, sir."
Yeah,
and even
that just like, really it's just because you know what's coming. Yeah, and it was like Bradley said, this slow building story where every time something happened, you just even though you knew where it was going, each member of that squad became a loved one, didn't they? Like, and it was like such an intense.
The character, considering that if you actually look at it, they didn't have a lot of time with these characters.
No.
But the characterization and the voice
everyone was so unique.
Phenomenal job at bringing these characters to life.
Yeah, and I think that's for me that I do you know what? I'll be completely honest. I don't really remember Reach's multiplayer. I don't remember it much.
It should. It was really good.
It was so good.
It was the first multiplayer that divided the fan base,
right?
Because of armor abilities.
Oh, of course. Was that where the like the drop shield? The armor lock. Oh yeah, okay.
I loved it.
That's all coming rushing back. I did enjoy Reach. Yeah, no,
especially Invasion.
See that was like you said, Chris, about being really good at Halo 3. Mine was Reach. I was so good at Reach.
Saying that, I remember when Reach was out. Yeah, and I remember Bradley. Yeah, he did used to really graft that game. Yeah. And I remember
literally
he was like the Don.
I've still got it as well. I went on the PC version when it came out in December of last year, and I jump into SWAT. My game mode is SWAT.
That does not surprise me.
No, it doesn't. No,
it's all about the aim. It's all about the Twitch reactions, and I'm popping out like 32 on my team, and then like it's up to 50 kills, and I've got 32, and I'm like, please, there's 4 people on the team, and I'm like, are you gonna do anything? And
but if I remember correctly, Bradley, I distinctly remember spending hours customizing my Spartan.
Yeah,
and wasn't yours just the default?
I'm pretty sure it was.
Yeah, I was.
I think I got to like a really high rank, and I'm like, I'll just stay as Noble 6.
Heavy plated helmet. Like my guy was pimped out to the highest, and then Bradley.
I'm so vanilla.
just not.
I think I changed to the scout chest plate, so I had the little scarf thing You know, the little bit. I just like the little bit of cloth around your neck.
And then
But-
that was it. Like, and
And that was it. Yeah, it's literally. I was like, wow, customization. Am I right?
I mean, I remember I remember spending a lot of time in those customization
Reach
menus.
has my favorite customization.
Yeah.
Oh, by far, it was so good, and the fact that you had to really grind. So when you saw someone with a specific skin, you were
You
like,
knew they were hardcore.
wow.
Or they wasted a lot of their life.
Yeah.
And they were shit.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, no, I agree. And I think, yeah, that for me, so obviously now that you say it and I can picture it, like Reach with
Comes back to
the
you.
multiplayer, I do remember it being really good and really fun, and the abilities were cool and stuff.
Yeah,
But
I played SWAT and Invasion. I thought Invasion was insanely fun.
Oh, they need to. If Invasion isn't an Infinite, I might riot.
yeah,
I've
but-
just always loved that big like big fight, but it's directed. So like you have these big team battles.
I mean, it's something as well that I was
It's
surprised
an
at.
F1, but
I
I love
remember
the fact that Invasion is also a very directed objective.
Yeah.
yeah,
And I remember it being massive. Like, I remember having these insane battles. And I was really
Mm-hmm.
surprised when I went back to replay Reach that it's only 8v8.
But it feels like 20v20. It's insane. But that's what I mean. You could do something like that now, and it could be so good because the way they did it in Guardians, they had. It's just like a big map, isn't it? And there's no specific.
They threw AI in there, which completely ruined that game.
Yeah, it doesn't really have that same, like I said, that directed objective of you are the Spartans, go and take this from the elites, or you are the elites, go and take it from the Spartans.
Spartans doesn't ring as good as Covenant elites.
No, exactly. And it was one of those things where going up against elite, player-controlled elites felt so good when you like took down a player that was an elite. Even though they have pretty much the exact same stuff as you, it still felt cool. It felt right. And I mean, the other way around as well, you being like an elite and evading across the open
I
field.
remember because elites had unique assassination
Yeah, they did,
animations
yeah.
on the Spartans. And another one, this assassination's the first time that reared its head in a Halo game was Halo Reach.
And they were so cool.
I remember being amazed by them as a kid.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Like-
you just sit there and you just like watch all the animations through. It's just so intense. But I also love the fact that you could change your elite skin as well. It wasn't as much as
in
the
depth,
Spartans, but you had about 7, 8 different elites.
About 13.
Which
There was.
oh really? Well, exactly. Which
There was like.
it was more than enough really.
There was like. There was a couple like limited edition ones that like came from pre-order bonuses and stuff. If you play, Master Chief Collection Reach, you can just unlock everything though, so it doesn't really matter too much.
But I think like you say, I'm kind of glad. I am actually kind of glad that Bradley had the same game as me though, because Bradley's touched on the multiplayer more than I would have been able to. But like, whereas we've all agreed on the storyline,
like you say, you know where it's going.
Yeah.
But the emotional beats where squad mates die, or even the one that I really is impactful is when the super carrier appears, blows up a UNSC ship, and there's this whole cutscene where they're talking about how do we deal with the super carrier.
Yeah.
And it really encapsulates the Spartans' personalities really well, and they have a bit of banter. And then you do this whole mission where you fly up into space, blow up the super carrier, and George, who is the big guy, sacrifices himself.
He's the big teddy bear though, isn't he?
He's
so
big-
caring.
He's the big, gentle
He's a big
guy.
softy. Yeah.
Great scene with him and Emil actually, where Emil berates George for being too soft with the civilian girl in the first or second mission.
Yeah.
And George literally pushes Emil into the corner and goes, "She just lost her father."
Yeah.
And like even Emil, Emil's a badass, but even in that bit, he leans back, and then Carter has to tell them to
split it up,
to rein it in.
Yeah.
But anyway, he dies, and you're like, it's a very hopeful moment. You're like, oh, we've taken out their weapon.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the Covenant Armada
Come through. Yeah.
comes in while you're falling back to Planet Reach. What a sequence.
Yeah, it is definitely, and like I say, obviously, I mean, considering how old these games are, how many years ago we're talking, to have these great memories of them, and just, I mean, we're obviously doing this talking about our favourites, but let's be real, the whole franchise has just been
Oh yeah, definitely.
fantastic, really. I mean,
I get there's things people take an issue with. And there's things I've taken issue with. I've generally enjoyed everything.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people hate Halo 5 story. I like Halo 5 story. It's not
I
as
I really like the fact that there's two two groups.
What's Halo 5 story about?
Chief and Blue Team go rogue to go after Cortana because she contacts John.
Yes.
And you've got, was it Locke? Agent Locke?
Cyrus.
Yeah.
Who are Spartan 4s.
Oh, yes. Chase after Chief. Yeah, no,
but I really like that playing through of one squad than the other squad and sort of like catching up with yourself. I don't know why. I just kind of like the
I remember that. I do remember.
Cool.
You're hunting yourself. It's kind of a weird thing.
I just don't think the set pieces and the story was quite as good. I think there's a lot of missed opportunities. In that, especially considering one massive chunk of that story is going to the Elite's homeworld, and I felt like that storyline was massively wasted.
Right.
From what they could have done, because it fell a bit flat, the Elite homeworld for me, when it should have been this, because they're basically, if you look at their culture, they are very similar to samurais. And I wanted, there's this civil war, I wanted these amazing cutscenes where the Arbiter's leading this charge and you sort of help him, whereas you don't really get that because you just rescue him and then help him attack a city and then you leave.
And then you leave,
And it was like, But, like you say, have you got any more things you wanted to add about Halo Reach?
No, I think they've pretty much summed it up, really. And I think we've all said our piece on it, and kind of that's pretty much, we've all got similar opinions, and, we've all loved the franchise. And we promise you this will not just be a Halo podcast every week.
It's just a joke.
Yeah, it's an ongoing thing right now. But
we just... In the wake of last week, we thought it'd be quite fun because I promised that this would become a Halo podcast. So we thought we'd run with that joke this week.
Yeah.
But it will not.
No, it will not. But if you do like Halo, then obviously you're in luck.
Yeah. And you've got one more segment.
We have
one more Halo segment before we move on next week.
Yeah, this is my fault. So the last thing we're touching on this week is our, Delve into Fandom quiz. So in that spirit, the Delve into Fandom quiz is Halo, which is very exciting for me. And I've chosen two extremely easy ones that you should get right without any problem.
Okay.
The third one I would still consider easy, but you might not get. And then the last two, I tried to make them as difficult as possible.
Yeah, we're never getting those ones then.
I think Jack, I think there's a possibility you could get them, Bradley. I have faith in you.
Oh, God, no. This is the thing, is I remember one of my friends from secondary school had the Halo encyclopedia, and I was just blown away with how much lore there is to know about these things.
Do you know what the funniest thing with that is, Bradley? 343 have actually had to release tie-ins on Halo Waypoint to connect all the lore because stuff.
Oh God! See, I do not think I have any chance of getting the last two. Let's just focus on the first three.
Okay, you guys ready for the first one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so who knows what the ladies like? And your options are A, Sergeant Johnson, B, Master Chief, or C, the Arbiter.
Wait,
who
knows?
Ladies like? Who knows what the ladies like?
It's not.
It's not the Arbiter.
It's not the Arbiter. Yeah, it's not the Arbiter.
Yeah, they were like, we get rid of C.
And
wait, so it's who knows? So doesn't Sergeant Johnson say it about the chief? Surely, Jack.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Surely, because he's saying who knows what the
so surely knows. You're saying.
So I'm saying
he's not saying who said it. He's saying who knows. So who's he said it about? So surely it's Chief.
One of the characters said that he knows what the ladies like.
Well, he says, "I know what the ladies like."
Oh, so it ain't going to be Chief, surely.
No, so it's got to be Sergeant Johnson.
Sergeant Johnson.
There's a line.
Yeah,
there's a line by Sergeant
That was question
Johnson.
one.
We're not doing very well, Jack.
He basically he says to a female Marine on the bridge that you're getting a Scorpion tank, and she goes, "Yeah," and then he loads the minigun and goes, "I know what the ladies like."
God.
Well, that was question one, so I'm excited.
Incredibly easy. Jesus Christ. 4 or 5.
I told you the first two are nice and easy.
Yeah, nice and easy.
Who do you play as in Halo Reach?
Okay. Right, I got this one.
Jack the Destroyer, the Over-Tyrant of the Grunts, Craig, our Lord and Saviour, or Noble Sid?
I'm so wished it was Craig. Like, imagine,
I will go with.
hang on, just a theory. Imagine if Halo Infinite releases and in the campaign they give you the option of playing as Craig.
Yeah, play as Chief.
As a co-op character, like he's your sidekick. Imagine. No, it's obviously Noble 6.
Okay, well that one was incredibly easy, so thank you for
that. Should be question 1.
Okay, so I still think this is quite easy, but number 3, what Spartan project does George from Halo Reach belong to? And your options are Spartan 1, codenamed Orion, the Spartan 2 project, or the Spartan 3 project. So 1, 2, or 3.
Oh god.
What?
I'm gonna go with 2.
Go on, Bradley. What do you say?
2. Spartan 2.
I'm gonna go Spartan 1.
Okay, so here's a Spartan 2.
Oh,
yes. That is the same classification, the same program that Master Chief comes from.
Right.
So there used to be around 30, but new law indicates there's around 40 Spartan 2s. Most of them died in the war.
Mm-hmm.
But Master Chief and George are Spartan 2s.
Right.
That's why in Halo Reach, George is way bigger than the other Spartans.
Oh, okay.
Because they're
okay.
And Spartan 3s are cheaper, mass-produced Spartans, which is why if you play Halo Reach, Dr. Horsey, the scientist lady, made the Spartan 2s.
Right.
And if you play Halo Reach, she's very critical and negative and nasty to the Spartan 3s,
right.
but nice to George, because the Spartan 3s are not as good as hers, and she didn't make them.
Okay.
Which is why she's sort of...
Okay. I actually didn't know that. And that makes like complete sense now.
Yeah. So she's nice to big old George, who's in his...
Yeah, because I've always noticed that she's nicer to him, but I just assumed it was because of like prior friendship.
She's his Spartan, and they're not. And she's angry that Oni made more Spartans without telling her.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Which is fun.
Yeah.
I know every day.
And that's sort of from the novels. And then that's also why Noble 6, despite being classified as hyper lethal, is physically stronger, physically weaker than Chief, and his health doesn't regenerate like Master Chief's does.
Yeah.
That's the in-law reasons, because Spartan 3s aren't as good.
No, they're not meant to be.
They're, and that's also why George is so big, which I love.
Yeah, he's great.
Because he's actually, he's still taller than Master Chief, but they're more on an even playing field.
Right.
But yeah, so number 4 now. Who was the Master Builder?
Who was the Master Builder?
Yeah. So A,
a
mysterious alien from before the time of the Forerunners who seeded life in the galaxy. B, a UNSC Marine who is sick at Lego sets. Or C, a corrupt Forerunner by the name of Faber of Will and Might, or Faber for short.
Right, well, what I would say is that a Master Builder from the Lego movie is to do with Lego, but it's obviously not going to be the Lego guy.
Just a little Marine sitting there making
it. Is awesome. No, the Lego movie, yeah, it's not definitely that.
Any ideas, Bradley?
I would go with C.
What, the corrupt Forerunner?
Yes.
A? Read out A.
A is a mysterious alien from before the Forerunners who seeded life in the galaxy.
I'm going to go C as well.
Yeah, it is. It's a Forerunner by the name of Faber of Will. And he's basically, the builders are kind of like, he made the Halo rings.
Okay.
Builders are part politician, part engineer.
Mm-hmm.
And they were in charge of a lot of the Forerunner sort of society. But he's a massive idiot who problems for the Didact from Halo 4.
Yep.
He's basically the Didact from Halo 4's arch rival in the Forerunner politics. There's a whole novel series about it. It's really cool. But I'm surprised you got that one. And my last one is, what is the Flood? So option A is a parasitic life form from another galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
B is it was created from the corrupted space dust of the precursors. And option C is its origins have been left unknown even by the all-powerful Forerunners. So either it's an enigma, we don't know anything about it, it's created from space dust from the precursors, or it's a parasitic life form from another galaxy.
Bradley, are you scratching your head?
Yeah, I've got two that I think it will be. What are you going with, Jack?
Thinking.
I am thinking.
I'm thinking.
You can have the options again if you
I'm
want.
thinking.
Dum dum. No time.
Hey yo, baby, check out the gun show going on over here. Oh, bang, firepower. Anyway, I'm gonna go with.
Long pause.
Yeah, long pause. I'm gonna go with. Bradley, say something.
No, I'm letting you pick first.
Okay,
And then
right.
I'm going to make it
Go
interesting.
through it quickly again.
Right, so
C was not known.
A is alien life form from another galaxy.
Yeah.
B is created from the corrupted magic space dust of the precursors. And C is its origins have been left unknown even by the all-powerful Forerunners.
I'll go B.
Okay.
Space dust.
Bradley?
I'm going to go with Origins Left Unknown.
Okay, so they are actually created from the corrupted space dust.
Oh, damn.
So, as a quick aside, basically the precursors were created all the life in the galaxy, including the Forerunners.
Mm-hmm.
The Forerunners betray the precursors
and
take over the mantle of responsibility, which means they're in charge of the galaxy.
Okay.
They kill all the precursors, but the precursors are this godlike entity and they regenerate. The Forerunners keep them, the last precursors, in captivity, but obviously these guys are like god level, and if they die, they regenerate from dust.
Right.
The last curse was to create the Forerunner, create the flood from their own genetic material.
Right.
When they regenerated, so basically the Forerunners are to blame for the flood because they wiped out the precursors, who then, from their own genetic material, make the first flood, which then, eventually
I like that.
wipe
That's really
out.
cool.
So
it's all in the book series.
So did we get 4 out of 4 each? 4 out of 5, sorry, each.
No, you got 4.
You're like, we'll just take away one. We
I've
both
got
got 4 out
thinking
of 4.
wrong, didn't I?
What one did you get wrong?
I got the
Spartan wrong.
Spartan wrong.
So you got 4 each.
Yeah.
Bradley oofed
I'm happy
on
with
the
that.
flood origin. You oofed on
Space dust.
Yeah. What was George? Curious George. The monkey. Yeah. I mean that was pretty cool. I'm promising you, that one of these episodes I'm getting 5 out of 5, and when I do, you'll be,
I think I did last week. Didn't I?
I'm gonna get.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, but I need a 5 out of 5. When I do, I'm gonna
But
get.
I need a 5 out of 5.
I'm gonna go gun fingers. Like dee.
Get a little crown.
Yeah, a little foghorn go. When I do a little fireworks confetti cannon.
Okay, guys, have we got any closing thoughts?
So
we have a favourite section.
Yeah, this is my favourite section.
Bradley's going first.
Go on, Bradley.
I never have any thoughts.
He's got too many thoughts. He's always.
I just never have any that I would, that will be good to share. They'll just be.
Oh, come on, we believe in you.
No, I don't believe in myself when it comes to closing thoughts.
So
it's my least favourite part.
So I like leaving closing thoughts on something random for people to just ponder over. Right? Okay. So I'm going to leave it on this. Yeah. Unless you've got anything.
No, go on. I've got one after you. Go on.
Okay. My closing thought: if poison expires, does it become more poisonous or less poisonous?
See, this is why I can't take part in closing thoughts, because this is just, I just can't come up with anything as thought-provoking.
Yeah, I'll leave everyone with that.
Okay, and my closing thought is, don't forget to, before you go to bed, get on your knees, have a little prayer to our Lord and Saviour, Craig. Yeah. Remember he died.
I was worried we'd gone religious there.
Craig died for us, guys. Remember that?
Was that Chris? No.
Craig died for us. Anyway, that's all from us, guys, and we'll see you again next week.
I mean, that's it from us, guys. I'll see you later. Bye.
See you later. Bye-bye.
See you later.